So in this shop, we have the regular employees who take care of the rolling stock, the locomotives, every day of the week. Every day when the train goes out, we have a team of people that go through the train to make sure the brakes are working, there's oil in the crankcase, there's water in the radiator, the windshield's clean, everything's ready to go. There's a whole checklist that they have to go through every morning before the train leaves. Okay? And then they do that. Then every 92 days, there's a checklist that's an FRA requirement called a 92-day inspection. So we'll bring a locomotive in at 92 days and we'll go over it with a more detailed fine-tooth comb. So now we're going to get into looking at the generator. We look at the brushes in the generator to make sure they're not worn. We inspect all the brakes. We inspect all the engine cylinders. We inspect all the compressors. We inspect all the hoses. We inspect every light on the engine. We can inspect all the control panels. We inspect the wheels. We inspect, if it's a locomotive, we inspect everything on it. So that's a normal requirement that the shop does on a regular basis. As I said, every day there's a basic thing that we do. So now we have shop volunteers. Now most of us are old retired guys. And most of us come from backgrounds of engineering. We have a guy I'm a graduate mechanical engineer. We have a guy that's a graduate electrical engineer. We have a guy that graduated with an MBA from Harvard. He ran a division of a company. They're all very knowledgeable, highly technical people. We have people that are master machinists that come and volunteer. We have one guy who's an accountant who's actually a really, really good woodworker. So he'll do a lot of things like repairing seats, and he'll make special things, everything from a frame for a picture to fixing woodwork in a car. So we come from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different knowledge bases. So we were talking earlier about things the volunteers do. Obviously the guys in the shop that are regular employees have a whole lot to do. But we as volunteers also get into various things that need to be done to repair cars. So one of the problems with a 1949 railroad car is you can't go down to the hardware store and just buy parts for it anymore. So as I was telling you earlier, we have a guy who is a master machinist, and we had to come up with a way to make a part. And so here in our little machine shop, he came up with a method to make these parts. As I said, you can't just go to the store and buy these. Now what this is for, this is the adjusting bar that goes on the end of each car. There's two on each end, and what this does is this raises and lowers the plate between the cars. So when you're walking between the cars, you don't trip. This makes it even. So what's happened after 70 years of usage is the rubber grommets on the cars have worn out. The tubes are no longer adjustable because they've rusted in place. So our machinist came up with a way, and he designed a whole new system, and we make this tube, and we make the shafts that go in here, the threaded shafts. So we make them all here in our own shop. Okay, and then we buy the rubber grommets, and we buy the nuts, and then we put it all together. We weld it all together. We'll paint them, and then these will go on the car, and this is what actually adjusts the plates between the cars so you don't trip. But once again, this is one of those things you just don't go out and buy, so this is something we have to make here ourselves. The cars, when they were originally designed, were designed to last 50 years. They're going to make it 100. they're so overbuilt because they were built by people that made steam locomotives. They just overbuilt everything. So several years ago, the volunteers got in them, and we realized that all those old fluorescent lights and ballasts and all that were a pain in the neck. They're always burning out, you're always replacing them, always working on them. So we stripped them all out and we put in LED lighting. But we had to put LED lighting in that looked like a 1949 railroad car. So we wanted to preserve the look of the car. So that was one of the volunteer activities, was to figure that all out. We put in low voltage LED lighting, and they're much more dependable now. They're brighter, and it's a better job for the passengers. It's way more comfortable. So that's a volunteer kind of thing that we got in.